Elder Vel-Narseth floated in the quantum crystalline matrix that had sustained her consciousness for over 14 million years, her ancient awareness rippling through dimensions younger species could barely perceive. Around her, the collective of Firstborn, the galaxy's oldest surviving civilization, maintained their vigil over realities that predated most star formations. Today, however, brought a question that had disturbed their timeless meditation. The young mammals have requested an audience, reported consciousness node Keth Morai, his thought patterns carrying undertones of bemused concern. They called themselves the Galactic Diplomatic Corps and wished to establish formal relations with the Firstborn. Elder Vel-Narseth accessed the relevant data streams, her perception encompassing the recent emergence of humanity onto the galactic stage. Such a young species, barely 300,000 years old, having achieved spaceflight only centuries ago. Under normal circumstances, the Firstborn would not acknowledge their existence for another million years at minimum. And their origin point? She inquired, though something in the deep quantum resonances suggested she already knew the answer. Sol 3. The third world of the star humans calls soon. The entire collective recoiled as one, their consciousness matrices destabilizing with something that younger species might have called fear. Sol 3. The forbidden world. The planet they had avoided for 67 million years. Impossible, whispered consciousness node Thexvala, his ancient awareness trembling. No sapient life could evolve on Sol 3. The Guardians would never permit it. Elder Vel-Narseth extended her perception backward through deep time, accessing memories that had been sealed since the Cretaceous epoch. Sol 3, as it had been before the Firstborn's great exile, a world of impossible beauty and equally impossible inhabitants. Perhaps, she said slowly, it is time to reveal why the Firstborn abandoned that region of space. The collective gathered in the sacred memory chamber, their consciousness matrices linking to form a gestalt awareness capable of processing archived experiences from their species' earliest epochs. What they shared had never been spoken aloud, never been recorded in any database accessible to younger civilizations. 67 million standard years ago, Elder Vel-Narseth began. The Firstborn maintained research stations throughout what you now call the local group. Sol 3 was unique among worlds. Its biosphere produced creatures of such biodiversity and adaptive capability that they defied all known evolutionary models. Images flowed through their shared consciousness, massive reptilian beings that commanded elemental forces, flying creatures whose wingspans could eclipse small moons, aquatic entities that could manipulate gravitational fields. We called them the terraforming titans, continued consciousness node Keth Morai. They were not merely animals, they were living terraforming engines, each species capable of reshaping entire planetary ecosystems through their mere presence. But that was not the strangest aspect of Sol 3, added Thexvala, his ancient fear palpable through the neural link. The strangest aspect was what lived alongside them. The shared memory shifted, showing glimpses of entities that hurt to perceive directly, beings that existed partially outside conventional dimensions, creatures that appeared to be composed of crystallized space-time, entities that moved through multiple realities simultaneously. The Guardians, Elder Vel-Narseth whispered, beings so far beyond our understanding that we could only classify them as gods or demons, depending on one's philosophical inclination. They coexisted with the Titans, Keth Morai explained to the younger consciousness nodes who had never accessed these sealed memories. For millions of years, Sol 3 maintained an ecosystem where creatures of impossible power shared a single world in perfect, terrifying harmony. The memory streams showed research stations exploding as curious Firstborn scientists attempted to study Guardian technology, expedition fleets vanishing when they approached too closely to Titan nesting grounds, and reality itself beginning to fray at the edges of the Sol system. What ended it? Asked a junior consciousness node. The Great Extinction, Elder Vel-Narseth replied. 65 million years ago, something struck Sol 3. A cosmic impact that should have sterilized the planet. The Titans died, their massive forms becoming fossilized echoes of their former power. And the Guardians? Vanished. Whether they departed, transcended, or entered some form of dormancy, we never determined. What we did know was that Sol 3 had become quiet. For the first time in millions of years, it registered as a normal world. So we left, Thexvalar added, established quarantine protocols, designated the system as forbidden. We assumed that whatever cosmic force had cleansed Sol 3 might repeat the process if disturbed. Elder Vel-Narseth accessed more recent observational data, her awareness touching the edges of human civilization with delicate precision. Now you tell me that mammals have evolved on Sol 3. Primitive descendants of small creatures that survived the Great Extinction, developing intelligence and spaceflight. Her consciousness rippled with disturbing implications. But if humans have achieved sapience on that world, the collective shared realization hit them like a quantum storm. The Guardians, Kethmarai whispered. They never left. They're still there, confirmed Thexvalar. Watching, waiting, perhaps sleeping. Elder Vel-Narseth extended her perception toward the Sol system, carefully probing its outer edges without triggering any ancient warning systems. What she found sent cascades of terror through her 14-million-year-old consciousness. Quantum signatures that shouldn't exist. Dimensional anomalies clustered around the third planet. Reality distortions that suggested something vast and incomprehensible still dwelt beneath the surface of human civilization. The humans don't know, she reported to the collective. They live their brief lives completely unaware that their world is shared with entities that could reshape the galaxy with a thought. Should we warn them? Warn them of what? Elder Vel-Narseth replied. That their dogs might be descended from creatures that once held conversations with living gods. That their deepest ocean trenches might harbor sleeping beings older than galactic civilization. That every step they take is monitored by intelligences so vast that our entire species would be less than dust motes in their perception. The collective considered this question for several microseconds, an eternity in their accelerated time streams. We maintain the quarantine, Elder Vel-Narseth decided. Sol 3 remains forbidden to all firstborn vessels. If the humans wish to explore the galaxy, they may do so. But we will not set foot on a world where the Guardians still dream. And if the humans discover the truth about their world? Elder Vel-Narseth's consciousness touched briefly on human psychological profiles, their curiosity, their determination, their absolute inability to leave mysteries unsolved. Then, she said quietly, we hope the Guardians remember their ancient fondness for that small blue world. Because if humanity accidentally awakens something that has been sleeping for 65 million years, the thought remained unfinished, hanging in the quantum crystalline matrix, like a prophecy of either transcendence or annihilation. The galaxy's oldest species would continue to watch from afar, maintaining their vigil over realities that younger civilizations could never comprehend, while humanity remained blissfully unaware that they shared their world with gods. And the Guardians dreamed on, patient as mountains, eternal as stars, waiting for the day when their youngest neighbors might finally be ready to learn the truth about Earth.